Can you retire at age 55 with a $2 million portfolio? This is a comment that we received on one of our recent videos, and it just so happens that we have a case study for this exact scenario. A few months ago, an individual that we'll call Heather came to us asking for help with her retirement plan. She was recently widowed and wanted to retire at 55, and she wanted to see what that would look like based on what she wanted to do in retirement. So, like I said, she had $2 million portfolio, of which $1.1 million was in an RSP. We had $260,000 in the TFSA and $640,000 in her non-registered account. As far as pensions were concerned, she was currently receiving $1,000 per month from the CPP survivor benefit, and her plan was to defer her own CPP until age 65. At that point, she would receive just over $1,500 per month. She also planned on taking her old age security at 65, which at that point, when we factor in inflation, would be just over $917 per month. So just going back to the CPP, she didn't want to start it at 60 because she was already receiving the survivor benefit, so she figured she would push it out until age 65. Her home was worth $900,000, but her plan was to sell it in 5 years when she turned 60. At that point, the kids would be out of the house, and she no longer wanted to maintain the property. As far as expenses are concerned, she would spend $4,500 per month on day-to-day expenses throughout retirement. Once she was renting, she expected that would cost her $4,500 per month as well. She wanted to spend $3,000 per month on travel from age 55 to age 75. So it's very important to her to go on trips throughout her retirement, especially at the beginning, take her kids and future grandkids as well. So travel was very important to her. And then she also wanted to replace her vehicle every 5 years. So we allocated $40,000 for that every 5 years. So her plan was to take her vehicle, trade it in, and then use $40,000 to make up the difference. So based on these expenses, Heather wanted to see whether or not her plan was feasible long term. So there's a lot going on the screen here, but we'll take a look at the numbers. So there were some adjustments that Heather would have to make. So her monthly need, when we average out all of her expenses throughout retirement, is just under $11,000 per month. Her current monthly ability, based on the inputs that we put into the plan, was $10,200 per month. So she was currently 91% funded for her retirement plan. So she also had a retirement shortfall of 3 years. So the life expectancy that we were using for Heather was age 88. And what this was saying is that her portfolio would last until age 85. And this is all assuming a rate of return of 6%. Throughout her retirement, there would also be some old age security clawback of $244,000, which we'll touch on in a second. When we look at her net worth, there's a few components there. So the first one in blue here is her home. So it's there for the next few years until it's sold at age 60. She has some registered accounts, TFSAs, non-registered account. And then here in red, we have some liabilities. So once the money is all used up, we're seeing that she's going into a debt position. So what the system does as a default is it tries to keep Heather's tax bill as low as possible at the beginning of retirement. So that's why we see her TFSA being used up first, followed by her non-registered accounts. So in the meantime, her registered accounts just keep growing and growing and growing until eventually we're forced to convert those RSPs into a Riff. At that point, we're going to be forced to make a minimum withdrawal every year. Now, because we waited so long to make withdrawals, that account just kept growing and growing. So the mandated withdrawal is going to be pretty high. And this is what's affecting Heather's old age security clawback. So she's being pushed into a higher bracket with those mandated withdrawals. So she's having to pay more tax on her withdrawals, and she's having to lose out on some of her old age security because she's making too much money now. So with this current strategy, like I said, she's running out of money at age 85. So we want to see what adjustments we could make to her plan to get her back on track. So a big component of this is having a solid retirement withdrawal strategy in place. So a good withdrawal strategy will allow Heather to pay less tax throughout retirement, which means more money in her pocket to do the things that she wants to do. So what's nice with this software is that we can determine the optimal strategy that Heather should be using in retirement. So in this scenario, that would mean targeting a taxable income of $94,000 per year. Now we can see that the graph changed substantially compared to our previous example. So her home, again, still there for the next 4 years, nothing's changing there. But as far as her registered accounts, we're no longer letting them grow until she's forced to convert them into an RSP. because we want to target an income of $94,000 per year, we're having to draw on those registered accounts a lot sooner. So we're not just letting them grow without withdrawals over time. So the registered accounts are being used. The TFSAs are allowed to keep growing every year, and we'll also top them up because we have the ability to do that from the non-registered account. And also the non-registered accounts being used to kind of supplement the expenses, because if we're targeting an income of $94,000 per year after taxes, that's not going to be enough money to sustain the $10,000 that she needs on average, or $10,800 that she needs on average. So those withdrawals from the non-registered account are going to be very tax efficient, and that's going to give us some extra money to spend in retirement. So just by making that one tweak of targeting an income of $94,000 per year, her plan is now 101% funded. So we do have enough money to sustain her up until age 88. Her old age security clawback went from $244,000 throughout the plan down to $39,000. So we're being a lot more efficient to not affect her old age security benefit as well. And with this strategy, at age 88, she's also leaving an estate of $141,000. So this is cutting it a little close in terms of having, a little bit of buffer room if she does happen to live longer. But Heather was happy to see that, she was on track if she can make these adjustments. And she was also happy that she would have a little bit of an estate left, because in the first example that we looked at, she was actually going into debt to keep funding her retirement, and she was leaving an estate of minus $586,000, which, again, no bank would lend her money at that point to keep funding her lifestyle, but just for the sake of this example, right? So having a good withdrawal strategy in place improved her situation by over $600,000. So can you retire on $2 million at age 55? Yes, you can, and it all depends on how much you want to spend. So hope you found some value in this video, and we'll see you next time.